I'm Naomi Cowan, and I am 1 in 10. PCOS, I think, has been a major part of my mental health and has affected my mental health in a much bigger way than I think I even understand today. Having learned more about PCOS and how it affects a woman's body and my hormones, a lot of things are finally making sense now. So this year is the first time I've decided to actively see a therapist, and I'm recognizing that not only have I actively experienced depression and anxiety like many creative people, I most likely have ADHD and undiagnosed ADHD, which means I have been living most of my life with a neurological, not disorder, but a condition that is not typical. And it means that I have been trying to do things the way people normally do it, maybe with people with normal neurological functions, and I'm a little bit different. And so when I look back at times where I had a lot of high stress, and when my skin was altered like crazy, and when I was eating the wrong foods, it makes you feel bad about yourself, which can trigger a little bit of depression. And then the depression led me to being in about a 3 year, I'm gonna say 3 years of having a very unhealthy relationship with food, where I was binge eating and then I was dieting to try and make up for it. And I gained so much weight that I couldn't lose it. My body was probably just out of balance. And then that puts you back into more depression, because say, when you gain little weight in Jamaica, nobody don't make you pass them without telling you say you gained the weight, and you can't explain it because you're going through all of these internal issues that people kind of tend to brush off. Even now, I don't even know if I talk to my parents about my mental health, because they come from a school of thought that says, well, you just pray about it, or just do this and it will go away. But the more I learn about my hormones, the PCOS, my mental health, I see that a lot of it it's medical. It's not my fault. It's not something I did to cause it, or something I'm not doing enough of. So PCOS actually affects my mental health in a big way. So even now on my period app, like I have an app that I use to track my period, I put a notification about 3 or 4 days before my cycle is supposed to start that says, if you're feeling overwhelmed, it's okay. Because I noticed that a couple days before my period, I'm confused. I don't know my left from my right. I'm very anxious. Everything feels like the world is gonna end. So if I drop something, I start bawling, or everything feels 10 times worse than what it is. So I put those little reminders in there to say, it's okay. You're gonna feel like a mad woman today, but you are not a mad woman, right? I even put little notifications to say, wear a basic, simple outfit. Because sometimes when I'm thinking about what to wear, I get confused and I get overwhelmed. Those little steps in my day are affected by PCOS, and my mental health is super important. So it plays a big role. But the more I make an effort to understand it and even accept that it could be happening, the easier it gets. And the more gentle and understanding I am with myself. Because it first starts with me and how I see myself. Because if I see myself in a negative light, I'm going to project negativity into the world around me. So although PCOS affects my mental health and has been affecting my mental health in a big way, the place I'm at now is way more positive. Of course, like every woman, and especially being a female in entertainment, and you're in front of cameras quite a bit, and your image plays a big role in your job. The acne part used to bother me quite a bit, because I don't love wearing makeup or having or feeling like I have to wear makeup. But naturally, you want to present yourself with a certain image. And I used to be so ashamed. I mean, if I was having a breakout on my body, I would, make sure that I wore things to cover it up. And then my skin scars very, very easily. I hyperpigment, or I have hyperpigmentation. So even if I don't have any pimples, then I'm going to have the marks. And that makes me feel, you feel very self-conscious. You feel, in a way ashamed, because I think in Jamaican society, we try to teach young girls that they need to be clean and perfect and you don't want to mark up your skin. So I used to always have people coming up to me like, oh, your skin's a marky, and why you do that to yourself? And so people kind of make you feel so you do it to yourself. And that part of it is for me the biggest struggle. I think now what I embrace about it is that I hope that it will let me appear and come off to people as a way more relatable. As a woman in the quote-unquote spotlight, I don't want people to think that I'm perfect. I don't want people that support my music to think that I have all of it together. So now I actually don't care. So if I have a spot or a bump or whatever the case is, if it show, right? But there was a time when I felt super self-conscious, mainly because of how other older women made me feel. And that's something that I hope we can work on in our society, because we are people of color. So if we get a mark, it's going to leave a scar. There's literally no way around it. We have pigmentation in our skin. And so I used to feel so ashamed. And then this might sound a ways, but because I might be considered more of a light-skinned person. And so people think, so when you're brown, your skin's supposed to be perfect. So that's even worse. So that's definitely the biggest symptom that I struggled with and still struggle with now. The cramps, and so that kind of stuff is a bit more manageable. The other symptom that is rough for me is hirsutism, or weird hair growth, or what they call male pattern hair growth. And I also used to think that it was because of like maybe a genetic. I thought that maybe my racial background, in Jamaica, all of us are mixed with different things. And I know on my mom's side, there's a whole heap of East Indian heritage there. And so I was always very hairy growing up. My eyebrows are thick. I have hair on my arms. And before I started shaving my legs used to be super hairy. And I used to get teased a lot. All the boys at school used to tease me about my upper lip hair, everything. My unibrow. And so then now, as the symptoms of PCOS started to increase, I definitely have hairs under my chin that I have to tweeze or whatever when time comes. And, I think that part of it is still strange to talk about. This is probably the first time I've talked about it. I don't think anybody I've ever dated even knows. But trust me, like when they come close and they want to touch my face, I'm like, oh, don't touch my face, I don't want my face to break out. And I'm like, you're going to make me, get pimples. But it's really because I'm so ashamed. Because I guess as a woman, if you have any kind of hair that's growing in a way that it doesn't normally grow for a woman, you feel like a freak. You feel like they might think that there's something else happening with you. And I have tried the laser hair removal and I got burnt. So we're going to take a break from that treatment. But that's one of the symptoms that this is actually the first time I've talked about it, because it's mad. It's hella weird. I can't go around it. And sometimes like right here, some of the hairs grow thicker and, I tweeze them and stuff. But as a female, when you see those things start to come, you don't know what's going on. But thankfully, I do understand that it is a result of PCOS. And I do understand that there are other things that you can do to help to reduce it. So it's not that big of a deal, but it's also a big deal when it comes to intimacy. So the medical treatments, I guess I would say I have tried before. Even before I knew I had PCOS, I was put on birth control for acne when I was in high school. And that was effective in controlling the acne. Now, I have never actually had an irregular or missed period. So I was never ever needing medication for that. And I find my period pains manageable. All I can, I just pop a couple painkillers and I'm okay. So the first medical treatment I've ever really tried was birth control. It was effective, but I came off because I didn't feel comfortable with the idea of constantly taking superficial hormones, especially at such a young age. And then after I came off birth control, I changed my diet I'm a pescatarian, right? And sometimes I eat mainly vegetarian if I don't really, I don't really crave a lot of meats anymore. And that helped to keep my acne at a level. But then when stress kicks in, it shows up. So I actually have taken Accutane to just knock the acne out all the way because I could not bother. That might be a lazy man's way to get over it. And then since then, I haven't been on any medical treatments. I just make an effort to take very good care of myself, and I educate myself as to what foods affect my body. So there are some women that might need to eat more low carb. I've recognized that I actually do better on steady carbs and a healthy amount of good fats. I don't actually need a lot of red meat, but I do need, decent amount of protein and stuff like that. So I have just had to learn as I go along and recognize even how my body type reacts to different things. I've gotten the most information about PCOS from the internet and having conversations with other women and, picking the brains of people when I meet them. If I meet a naturopath, if I meet a doctor somewhere, I talk to them right there and I get free advice. I think the most surprising fact is that it is so intimate. It is involved with almost every part of how you function as a person and as a woman. It's not just isolated to down here, right? To your reproductive system, but it can affect so many other parts of your body. And I think that's what's most shocking is that as women, we think our reproductive system is an isolated part, but God made us in such a way that we have a cycle, we have we're holistic beings. And so our reproductive system is even a bigger telltale sign for lots of things, not just PCOS, but hypertension and diabetes and our weight and our mental health. Sometimes we look at our reproductive system last, and PCOS has really taught me to look to your reproductive system first, and then you can work your way backwards. Because as a woman, that's a special sauce that we have, right? The advice I would give to women who are just finding out now that they have PCOS, the first thing I will say is you are not alone. So don't worry about it. The second thing I would say is be open to treating it in many different ways, right? Listen to your doctor, but at the same time, educate yourself for yourself. I advise speaking to different specialists. I mean, I think we're now in a time where you don't always have to go and sit and have a doctor's appointment. You can find specialists online and do consultations for way less money than you usually would if you had to go and see somebody. So I would say read, educate, and recognize that your life is not over, right? And recognize that you still have the power. The power is still in your hand. And your body will respond positively when you treat it with the love that it deserves. It's not a death sentence. And there's nothing that you did to cause it as well. Don't feel bad about it.